Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Ifrica, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens. Powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Africa, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Africa, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Africa, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Africa, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados. Over 40 years of reggae music.
Did I ever say how I feel about you?
Over 70 million records sold. The Barbados Reggae Weekend presents UB40.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle.
Sunday, April 28th, the National Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 3 p.m. Showtime is 6 p.m. It's UB40 alongside Queen Africa, Ghost, Morgan Heritage, Massacre, Tessan Chin, and Right Side of Red. Early bird general tickets $70 and early bird VIP $350. Regular general tickets $90 and regular VIP $400 from official box offices and ticketlinks.com. Sunday, April 28th, it's UB40 at the National Botanical Gardens, powered by CBC Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you in company on this Monday, April 22nd. Welcome to another Morning Barbados presentation. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be in studio with you until 8 o'clock this morning. So it's back to school. I know how it goes, especially with the traffic and getting out of the house in the early and so on. So I'm hoping that you keep us around to keep you company. Even if you're not getting the kids out to school, we're all impacted as we head on out. I know usually it's heavier traffic. So make sure you leave on time so that you can be there on time. So a special good morning to those of you who are watching across the world as well. We know we have a big following from the diaspora, so good to have you in company. It's just about 6:15, so we'd like to apologize for the late start of the program this morning. We did have a few technical challenges, and that's why we've started at this late time. I know you're usually standing by waiting for the prompt start at 6. Before I start, though, there are a few people I want to say hello to that I met up with over the weekend. I have to say a very special good morning to Shelley Miller. I had a great conversation with you in Massey. How about that? A very special good morning to Malcolm as well. And good morning to Shirley, whom I saw in Speightstown yesterday. All right, so good morning to all of you and everybody else. Now, let me tell you about what's coming up on today's show. We're going to be featuring Portfolio 2024, which is the Barbados Community College Fine Arts program. They're going to be in, a few of the students, to share more about how they're preparing for their 2024 presentations. Plus, the next chapter is on today with author Chanel Williams. She's going to tell us about her latest book. And we're back with another Family Matters presentation with Cornelius Bartlett. We're looking at narcissism and a few other related topics. Plus, we're going to tell you all about a virtual free concert that's coming up, a free writing workshop, rather. Maybe I'm in the weekend mood talking about concerts, but it's a virtual free writing workshop that's coming up, and we're going to tell you all about how you can get around that. Now, today is World Earth Day. The annual event of World Earth Day falls on April 22nd. That's today. And this year it falls today. The theme for World Earth Day 2024 is Planet versus Plastics. The theme aims to bring attention to the serious issue of plastic pollution and how it harms nature. So how can you help? You know already. Please don't throw those pesky things through your windows as you drive along. Be mindful as you drink your little soft drinks and all that other stuff, how you dispose of your waste, and, help us to keep Barbados clean. I remember that used to be a theme years ago. So today we're also looking at the 22nd annual Vaccination Week of the Americas, or in the Americas. And joining us to talk more about it, we have Professor Alok Kumar, who is a professor of pediatrics with the Faculty of Medical Sciences at UWI-Caville. And also here is Mutual Archer, who is a public health nursing officer. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Good morning, Tasia.
All right. So Vaccination Week, I'll start with you, Professor Kumar. Why is Vaccination Week of such importance to us?
So every year, PAHO, along with his partners, celebrates this week of vaccination, which falls this year from 20th April to 27th April, to highlight the national and regional vaccination programs, and to highlight its importance to the public, to the stakeholders, and its importance in overall health and well-being of people. Under the theme, which is called Vaccination in Day-to-Day Life.
All right, so talk to us about how important this is to child health, Mr. Archer, because I know for us, when we think vaccination, that's automatically where we go in this part of the region in particular. Child health and preventing disease.
Well, primary health care is significant. We try to prevent as opposed to cure, or try to through treatment. And vaccinations are one of the major things we entertain, or you say, have in public health. Children are very vulnerable to all sorts of illnesses that as a professional would go into. But for us, primary health care is important. And if we can eliminate things before they happen, or mitigate things before they happen, that is significant for vaccinations.
Professor Kumar, what are some of the misconceptions about vaccinations? I can remember a time where when we heard about vaccinations, it was usually someone coming to the school and it was a little something under the tongue, or it was an injection and there was no fuss. These days, it's totally different. I myself, parents of my generation, have engaged in much conversation about whether they should vaccinate their children. We know, given the internet is available and the information that people can readily go to, whether it's right or wrong, what it has done is made people question vaccination. So I think in the last 20 years, it certainly has changed how people administer, whether they're open to vaccinating their children. So what are some of the misconceptions that you have to battle with?
Okay. So Tasia, before I come to your question, which I'm going to answer in detail, I just want to add to Mutual's statement on the importance of vaccine. Let me just remind the viewers and everybody else, vaccination has been one of the greatest medical intervention of all times in terms of saving lives, in terms of preventing morbidity from vaccine preventable diseases. Just to put it in context, in the last century there were 3 great medical inventions. Okay? Vaccination is one of them and perhaps the foremost. The other 2 were, as people would know, was the discovery of penicillin, the antibiotics, and the third was the invention of oral rehydration solution to prevent dehydration from diarrheal diseases in children. So it is very important. It is very important. They are very safe. They are very effective in preventing vaccine preventable diseases, which used to be very common and used to be a very big cause of morbidity and mortality in children. We don't see them now. People of this age haven't seen that. So they may not appreciate what vaccine has done. But it is absolutely fabulous the way the vaccines have worked to reduce the morbidity and mortality from vaccine preventable diseases. So I would leave that there and I would come to your questions now. So yes, over years misconception has been added to vaccination, as it happens to many interventions. There are always doubts, there are always questions that people would have. It's nothing unusual. What has happened is over the past years, information has become much more readily available to people. And as a result, both the good and bad information get disseminated very easily and very quickly and to a very large proportion of the population. So that has, what it has done in terms of vaccination is, obviously it has added to the misconception or false belief or untrue fear about immunization in the community and among the people. Some of the common misconception that has been voiced or that has been raised over past many years have been, to begin with, the classical misconception or false information was that one of the vaccinations that we use, which is measles, mumps and rubella, can cause autism. That's the classical example people give about vaccine misconceptions. Now this was something that has come out or risen out of frivolous or very incorrect studies that was done earlier on, which was proved to be very wrong, and it was quite clearly demonstrated and proven that measles, mumps and rubella is not associated with autism in no way. So that's one of the classical thing if you talk about misconception about vaccine. Among the other common misconceptions that has come up or that that's being raised are things like we give too many vaccines, how would body cope with so many antigens or so many foreign things? Okay, then there is a misconception that vaccines contain mercury, and that can be harmful. Okay, people have the thing that vaccines may change things and they lead to new diseases. Okay, people have misconception about that vaccine can cause side effects. Okay, serious side effects, and many other misconceptions are there. People also sometimes feel that even by not taking vaccines, they are not going to be vulnerable or catch infection. Okay, so these are some of the misconceptions. Now, let me just take each one of them and just clarify it for the people, since I have mentioned those things that may be in their mind. So, giving too many vaccines, if people know that we get exposed to millions and millions of foreign antigens in our day-to-day life, body deals with it. Body recognizes and deals with those foreign material. So giving 5 or 7 or even 10 or 20 vaccines, unfortunately we don't have so many. We wish we had more vaccines. We had vaccines for more diseases that can be prevented. Of course, we are adding to the numbers, but we don't have so many. Giving these few vaccines is not going to burden the body, as they would say. Body is capable of processing and dealing with millions of antigen on a daily basis. The food that we eat exposes us to antigen. The air we breathe exposes us to antigen. So there are multiple antigens that we deal with. So that's not a concern, and that should not be a concern. The other misconception about serious side effects. Let me just emphasize that vaccines are very safe, and to put it in the context, it's perhaps one of the safest medical interventions. Yes, there are side effects in any medical intervention. Even when you take Panadol, there is risk. But overall, given the length of time we have used vaccines, the number of people who have used vaccines, we know this for sure, that vaccines are quite safe and at the same time very effective. So misconceptions are there, they would come, and as in more and more people are exposed to tons of information that is there, there would be more ideas and misconceptions in people's mind.
Absolutely, and we've seen the discussion around vaccinations increase significantly even after COVID-19, so I know how things have been going. But for you, Mr. Archer, talk to us as a public health nurse. You are that person, so to speak, who we really consider the person who works where the rubber meets the road. You're engaging and interacting with people. Generally, how do you gauge people feel about vaccinations, and do they truly understand and appreciate what they've done and how they've changed the landscape over the years?
Well, I want to agree with Dr. wholeheartedly. We don't see it, so we are somewhat, the word I want to use, we are not knowledgeable. It is very hard, to be honest with you. It's a good thing and a bad thing. I personally, and I know lots of our colleagues have never seen measles. I know a lot of doctors over the last 10 years or 15 years have never seen measles. Yes. And that's a good thing, because as you said, immunization works. So I think it's in 2016 where we thought we had gone away with measles. Measles was done, technically speaking, but then I had a re-emergence of it. So as you said just now about COVID-19, I think that put a lot of hamper in vaccinations for two reasons. Firstly, we were not able to get out into the community because we concentrated so much on COVID, which we had to. And after that, persons were a little apprehensive about it. But since COVID had passed, the public health nurses were free to be on the road again, interacting with our communities in schools and nurseries and stuff like that. And it came to the point where we recognized that purposes, yes, were apprehensive, but it's still understood that vaccines were quite important. We're in the process now of building back trust in the communities with vaccines, and we've been trying that for a while. This vaccination week in the Americas, we started back in February the planning, and we recognized that we had to do more to get persons on board with vaccinations. Currently, we are behind in MMR vaccinations, and we are trying to catch up. We have implemented several strategies to get that done. We started opening clinics on Saturdays. We started doing community outreaches. We started using a mobile bus to ensure persons had availability for vaccines. So we do understand what important vaccines are, and we are trying to make strides to get people back on board, basically.
Professor Kumar, talk to us about what it will mean to our communities to see the reemergence of vaccination preventable diseases like measles.
Yes, so first thing is that it is quite threatening, okay? It is something that I don't think so any of us wants to see, re-emergence of these diseases. And the fact is that there is re-emergence of some of these vaccine preventable diseases, and that's largely because of the fall in the proportion of people who are vaccinated for these diseases. Okay, so as I was saying in the conceptions that people have, one of the things is people think that, oh, well, even people who are not immunized, they're not getting the disease. What they do not understand is there's something called herd immunity. So vaccine is, again, once again, one can't be tired of praising vaccines. Vaccines are so good that not only it prevents the person who is immunized, it also prevents a small proportion of people who for some reason, either for age or reason were not vaccinated, they are also protected, and that is what is called herd immunity. So provided a significant proportion of a population, say about 90% or 95% is immunized, the rest 5 to 10% would not get the disease, because the disease can't survive when such a large number of people are immune to it. It needs a certain critical number of susceptible people for a disease to propagate. So that concept is very important. So it's a matter of time. I'm bringing this in to just emphasize, once the immunization level falls below that critical 95%, you would see the re-emergence of these diseases, and that's exactly what has happened. There's a measles outbreak in several countries, including some in the Americas. Closer to home in Barbados, as Mr. Archer was saying, our immunization because of the COVID pandemic that we had also faltered, and our level has fallen, and we are vigorously trying to catch up and increase the proportion of children who are immunized for MMR as well as other immunizations.
All right, so we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll tell you about how this week will be observed. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's Vaccination Week in the Americas, but as we've been discussing, they've been preparing for this since February, so there's a lot of work that has gone into what is coming up all this week. Now, you got started even before this week, Nurse Archer. Tell me a little bit about the things that you've been doing to share with the public and get Vaccination Week out there a little bit more.
Well, we approached it in like 4 phases. The initial phase was the external audit. We wanted to see what was out there, what was happening, what we were lacking. We sent out the community health nurses into the community, into the schools, into the nurseries to see, check the immunization cards to see who was missing and who was behind. And after that, we did our own internal audit. We went through our books, every book in each clinic to see who was missing. And we went out in the outreach third phase. We went into the communities, vaccinated who we can vaccinate, who we can find to vaccinate. We set up, as I said earlier, Saturday clinics. We opened clinics Saturdays. We did supermarkets. We did communities in general. But now, to celebrate actually the Americas, we did, first of all, we had our church service, everything we start with God. We had a church service on Sunday. We had an outreach on the radio program, I think it was yesterday. And now today we are having Mornin Barbados encouraging or opening up the eyes of persons at all medias. But tomorrow, starting again, we're going to have open days. I think it's 4 polyclinics who's having open days tomorrow. That open days means that the public health nurse will only concentrate on that particular day on vaccinations. You can come and get your vaccination. Not if you're allocated to that area, anything that's open, you can bring your child. Since we are somewhat computerized, we can accommodate that. So tomorrow, we can have additional clinics opening for their open days. And on Friday, we're going to have staff appreciation, not only appreciation, but a workshop. We want all the staff on board about vaccinations, what the procedures we do. So we're going to have speakers. I think Dr. Kumar is also going to be there. He's going to talk about, he will tell you what he's going to talk about a little later. But we're going to have our sister Serrano, our chief, well, I should say our senior health sister Serrano, who's in charge of Black Rock Polyclinic. She's going to come and talk about vaccinations in Barbados, how it started, what was the progression, how it helped us. And then further down, we're going to have a simulation of an outbreak. So you got prepared for things, somewhat like hurricane prevention. We do scenarios on see how it works and what's the procedures to follow. So everyone will be on par. So no one will have, what I say, we're left behind. Each clinic will know what's the procedure to follow any incidents of outbreak.
All right, so Professor Kumar, key takeaways for you from this morning's discussion, especially as we continue into vaccination week, all that we know, which is we're behind, and I wanted to ask you, are we behind as in, can we still come third, or are we behind as in we're bringing the last place in the race?
No, the thing is that yes, we are behind, but it is not something alarming. Okay, one good thing about it is much of this fall in the immunization rate in this country is largely because of the COVID pandemic, where, as you know, many of the health services were disrupted in one way or the other, despite all efforts by government to try and keep them to a standard. So much of it is because of that. And just going back to when you had asked, how do people feel about, by and large, our people are very understanding. They do understand and realize the importance of vaccination, and they're quite willing to support this initiative. So that makes things easier for me. Of course, there will always be people who would need extra counseling, information, etc. to change their mind. But by and large, we are very good with public's opinion about vaccination. So it's not that bad, and we should be able to catch up and get back to the top spots that Barbados have always enjoyed. Our vaccination has almost always been around 95%, which is the acceptable limit. So we have been very good at that, and I'm sure with all these people's effort, we'll be able to get there. One of the key takeaway from this year's vaccination week in Americas is to close that gap, immunity gap, which has come about because of the COVID pandemic. That is to say that people who are not immunized, identify them and immunize them. That's one of the major focus of this year's Vaccination Week in America, which is also one of the objective of this Vaccination Week of America. There are 5 objectives, and one of them is to reinvigorate and highlight the immunization program to the people, to the politicians, so that it comes on the political agenda, because it obviously needs, immunization is such a huge program, it needs solid political backing. The other thing is to close the gap, which we talked about, and I think we are doing very good on it. As he was mentioning, we had an external audit, we had internal audit, we identified the people, and then we are going around and immunizing them. And then, of course, one of the other objectives is regaining the confidence and the trust of the people, which is why we have this outreach program as a part of the vaccination weeks in the Americas, which he just mentioned. So that's being done. And then the other thing is to maintain and support the PAHO's goal of eliminating and controlling vaccine preventable diseases. So these are some of the major takeaway from this immunization weeks, vaccination week in the Americas that this week the Ministry of Health has made plans to highlight to the people.
All right, well, good stuff. For the vaccination, the open door policy for tomorrow, is it every vaccine, or are there specific vaccines that you'll be concentrating on? Just so people know, I know for some parents, owing to COVID-19, they missed the second HPV vaccination. There are others who obviously weren't able to come in. The polyclinics were closed or weren't open to doing other things. So is it everything across the board?
Well, yes, I can say yes. We want to concentrate on the childhood vaccinations, but all are welcome.
All right.
And
Well,
it is all vaccines for children.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
all vaccines. So it's again for the people and the public there. Check the immunization record of your child, okay, and get them immunized if they're missing something. This is the time.
all right, it most certainly is. I know Barbadians used to walk around with what we call the green card. I don't know if we did that. We still do that.
Green
Yes,
book.
we
But,
very
uh,
much do
but,
that.
You know, people
It's
would
a
make sure
green
that
book
they have
now.
them. It's a green book.
Yes,
green
we
book
have
now.
improvised on it.
Improve.
All right, it's now a book. So grab that book, and were there any shortfalls, make sure you do it. I think it's fantastic that you can walk into a polyclinic tomorrow and get your children all caught up.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Professor Kumar, for coming in and sharing with us, and Mutual Archer, Public Health Nursing Officer. Thank you both for the work that you do for us.
Thank you.
It's time for another break here on Morning Barbados, just about 17 minutes before the 7 o'clock hour. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan.
14 minutes before 7 o'clock. So help me welcome Shaquani Hunt and Jemiah Mayers. They're both student producers with the Barbados Community College's Division of Fine Arts. And we're talking about arts and entertainment management. So good morning, ladies. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, so Pundy Road to Portfolio 2024. I'll start with you, Jemiah. Talk to me about how you are preparing for the portfolio presentation this time around.
Well, so far we have already done our portfolio media launch, which happens on March 21st at Pelican Village. And we invited potential sponsors and different guests to come out and join us in the start of our portfolio season.
All right, that's beautiful stuff. So you guys are student producers. What does that mean? Talk to me a little bit about that, Shaquan.
So our role is basically to organize the events. We also have to look for sponsorship. We have to do marketing plans, marketing proposals. We prepare persons for interviews, site visits. So we're like the full package. We're the engine room behind the event.
So how is the engine room steaming now,
Full ahead.
as you get ready for portfolio?
Well, we have music coming up and we have dance, visual arts coming up this week. We will see them on here as well. And dance and music, music will be on the 24th at the Frank Cullimore Hall, 8 p.m. And tickets are $50. You can get your tickets from the BCC Bookstores, Yo Harmon, or A&B Music Supplies.
All right, Shaquani, how important is getting the prep for portfolio right? Because this really is end of the term exam, so to speak. So, how important is it for you from your end to get it right?
It is extremely important. We have been working on this project since last year, December, because we had to make sure that every single thing down to the budget was secure and confirmed to make sure that everything was covered for and accounted for. So that when our students and the persons who will be viewing come to see, they see an excellent standard being produced.
All right, so arts and entertainment, Jemiah, talk to me about the program that you're doing and how it kind of is delivered to ensure that you're prepped for what the world will offer once you're through studying.
Okay, so our arts and entertainment management program helps us to plan and coordinate and execute arts and entertainment related operations. So we have a variety of classes. We have event management, as we mentioned before. We have marketing, and those kind of help us to get the hands-on experience before we go out there for the world of work.
How's it been for you?
It's been amazing. We also do internships. We're required to do 6 weeks work-based internships. And I have already started mine with the Ministry of Culture, and I can say, the Division of Culture, I can say it is excellent having them on board as a partner, giving our students opportunities to do internships.
That's always very important for you. What has the experience been like for you? Are you also at the internment, the internship?
I haven't started it officially as yet, but I have been on the outside helping some persons that I know with their upcoming events. So that kind of is helping me prepare for my internship
All right, let's break down. I know that you mentioned briefly some of the areas, and we're going to get a chance, like you said, to meet some of those students as we go through the week. But break down for us the specific areas that will be showcased throughout the coming days for portfolio. Pundy Road is the theme.
So what we will be doing next, I think you should be saying music. Music will come and they will do a display. Visual arts would also be coming to show you the displays from their work, some paintings, some ideas of graphics and planning. I think our students will be able to show you the quality and standard of work that they're able to produce over the series of either 2 years or 3 years, what their studies have trained them to be able to do. I think you're in for an exciting time.
Productions and exhibitions are not easy to plan, as I'm sure you have seen over the last couple months or years of your study.
Yes.
So talk to me about how your colleagues at the college have been preparing for this very important portfolio.
Well, we have been doing rehearsals, the planning and execution. Yes, it is stressful, but we have the rehearsals, we have to make sure everything is in order. So for our class, for example, when we had our portfolio media launch, we would have been planning and trying to contact the sponsors and making sure everything is in place. So that's really how we have been doing it, and the same for each division.
Good stuff. What are you looking forward to most?
Well, I'm looking forward, I'm going to say, for the season to be completed so we can have because the students have worked so hard to produce this. We're looking to see all the launches and see how they roll out and see the smiles on person's faces to see this is what I did, this is what I was able to complete. And just get the reward of this is what I was able to do after my studies.
So the execution.
The execution.
Yeah, the execution.
What about you?
Honestly, the finished product as well, the execution, because after all the stress of planning, seeing the finished product, as Shaquani said, is really rewarding, and we love to know that it came off well.
Why did you choose this particular area, or what piqued your interest about it?
Well, I like organizing things. I really do. Before I went into this field of study, I am accustomed to producing stuff. So it was just an easy step in, and I can say it was an excellent decision.
Good stuff. What about you, Jemiah?
Honestly, well, since I joined the program, that was actually my first time producing events of this caliber. But because I am a creative, I'm actually a singer, I wanted to expand myself some more as a creative, and I thought that this would be the perfect fit for me, especially because it's arts and entertainment management. I could manage myself too as an artist, so I thought that would be perfect for me.
All right, well, good stuff. I want to wish you both the very best as you
Thank
continue.
you
We
very
most certainly
much.
look forward to hearing more about the Pundy Road Portfolio 2024. What's in the name, though?
Well, we wanted persons to feel the authenticity of the event. Our logo is actually a bus stop, so the Pundy Road to Portfolio is inside the bus stop. So it's like a stop at every corner. We wanted persons to join us in on the journey of how the season of Portfolio comes together, and then the end result, you get somewhere when you start at a bus stop.
Yeah.
Well, there are fewer things. There are very few things that are as authentically Bajan as the bus stop. So, well, our bus stop. Bus to city, bus out of city.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Sokwani Hunt and Jemiah Mears, student producers. They're coming for my so I don't mind at all. I like sleeping late.
Thank
No,
you
I'm
very
joking. I never sleep late. All right. Well, all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
very much.
you know, I wish you luck and all good vibes as you move into the world of work.
Yes,
Yeah?
please. Thank you.
All right. The young people are taking over this week, and I know you're going to be looking forward as much as I am to hearing from music and poetry and visual arts and all that fantastic stuff all this week. It's already 5 minutes before 7 o'clock. We have the news coming up at the top of the hour. And still to come, we're going to be telling you all about narcissism and a few other related things as we discuss family matters with Cornelius Bartlett. That's all coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you
Always wonderful to catch up with the authors who are doing amazing things. This morning is no different. In today's chapter, we're looking at Chanel Williams, who's an author, To Teach or Not to Teach, Beyond the Classroom, Volume 3. It's a book that she co-authored with Stephanie Saunders, Anish Grimes, Anita Dawkins, Christopher Razor, Evadine Slaughter, LaQuinda Johnson, and Takia Gaither. And we're going to find out a little bit more about this book. So help me welcome Chanel Williams. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. And I hope everyone in Barbados is having a wonderful time. And good morning, Tisha.
We absolutely are. It's good to have you with us. Before we jump into all the details about the book, talk to me a little bit about your background and how you came to be writing a book of this nature.
Okay, so I'm a born and bred Barbadian. I migrated to the US less than 5 years ago. I started teaching in Barbados from 2011, and I spent about almost a decade in the secondary school system. So I worked at mainly the Frederick Smith School for about 8 years, and then I migrated to the US where I continued my studying and I started to work in the New York educational system, and I've been there ever since.
Talk to us about what brought you to this place now where you've written this book, and we're at volume 3, so you have to bring us along.
Okay, so I'm very much an academic. Even before moving to the US, I had already completed one master's, and then when I got to the US, one thing about the US, whatever degree you have or whatever, they still like you to study in the US. So then I did a specialization master's in special education. And so during that process, I realized that I was putting out projects for schools that was of no use to me. And I came upon this opportunity because during the process of studying and so on, especially when I finished my last project, which ended up being about, I think, 75 pages, I said to myself, you know what? You could do this for yourself. But I didn't know how I would go about it. So I happenstance on this opportunity and I jumped on it, and I will forever be grateful to Stephanie because it was her idea, and I would forever be grateful to her because the idea of beyond the classroom, about teachers leveraging those skills to build financial wealth and success is a great idea, and I think that it's something that every teacher should think about.
Usually when we think about teachers and how they leverage what they know and what they impart and how they feel, I think that's a big part of what you impart through the book. People feel like it changes as you move to different places in the world. What are some of the stark contrasts as you compare maybe the subtle and stark differences with teaching in a place like Barbados or the Caribbean, and then moving into maybe the high school system or the middle school system in the US?
So I would say for me, the difference is that you are supported. And I would give you this story. I remember because we get something called per session. So everything after your contractual hour you do, you are paid overtime for. So I remember when I first started, I wanted to do what I usually do in Barbados, because if you ask anybody or if you check my social media, even before I left, I collaborated with the teachers at my school. One year I did a prom. I was always the type of teacher that would be doing like the empowerment programs and so on. So when I got there and I wanted to do the same, and I remember one of the teachers telling me, you have to go and ask the principal to see if you'll be paid overtime. So I went to the principal and I was like, well, Miss so and so, I want to do X or Y. And she said, am I going to be paid? She said, yes, of course, just fill out the form. And I could see like the surprise or the like, why is she asking me this on her face? In addition to that, I believe that in terms of technology, the US is more advanced. And also, as I said, you get the support. So the supplies and everything are provided. And also, as a teacher, every year you get $250, I think it is, to help you to buy your classroom supplies.
All right, so very interesting stuff. With that said, talk to me about the co-authors and how you were able to collaborate on your stories to, bring this book that, in effect, shares your experiences.
So I think that we come from many different places. So I am the only international author. The other authors are either from Ohio or Atlanta or Baltimore. And on Facebook, we often have a lot of teacher groups where we support each other, and so a lot of times when these opportunities come to be, they are advertised. So when I saw that advertisement, I reached out to Stephanie, and we got started. So Stephanie is a middle school teacher, and she also has started to leverage her skill in like the financial literacy realm. Then we have Evelyn, who is an elementary school assistant principal, and we have one or two others who are like doing educational consultancy and so on. And so it's a wealth of knowledge within the group.
It must be interesting how many stories there are within the pages of this particular book. But talk to me about how the narratives and advice that's presented in the book can help other educators.
Well, I think that this book is not only for educators, but any professional who wants to build that financial wealth and success and wants to be able to provide for their family. The sad truth about it is that that teachers are not or rather, teachers are not in the profession where the most money would come from. In a lot of places, teachers are grossly paid, and therefore this book is really about turning lemons into lemonade. So during your teaching journey, you should have done workshops, you should have done training. Most teachers would have done their masters. How could those skills that you have acquired over the years help you to build those financial wealth or success. So it's looking at how you leverage your skills. So for a teacher, it might be starting your own educational consultant company, doing workshops. If you're like me, during my journey, I was trained as a cosmetologist as well. It might be starting your own business. And for any other professional, for instance, using you as an example, Tisha, you have been in media for many, 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 many years. I'm sure there's something that you know that you can teach or you can talk to people about that can get you that extra money and help you to stay financially stable and help you to provide a comfortable life for your family. So that's what the book looks like. That's what the book talks about as well, and it looks at not only my journey but the journey of the other authors.
All right, so wonderful to hear that the book is indeed a book that reaches out to people across professions or across sectors or what have you. So how come it's just teachers? Why did you use just teachers for this particular volume?
So it is a teacher, as I said, was a brainchild, but we have been in talks to do different collaborative books. For instance, one of the books that I am personally working on is one that deals specifically with caregivers of our family members of persons who have Alzheimer's. Because unfortunately, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2019, I believe. So that is a project that I'm really, really, really passionate about, looking at how caregivers really have to deal with their family members who have Alzheimer's. And there are other projects we're looking at, for instance, looking at teachers like me who migrated. What is the experience and the contrast between working in the Caribbean and working in the US or the UK or Russia or so on? And also teachers who have retired. So after retirement, what are you doing? So I would say that we have a lot of projects in mind, and you would just have to wait and look out to see.
All right, good stuff. So where can we get your book? Talk to us about how we can get between these pages.
Okay, so you can get my book. You can check my social media page. I am on Facebook at Chanel Williams. The link is, if you can just give me 1 second, let me tell you it. The link for the book itself is presale.chanelwilliams.com. So presale.chanelwilliams.com.
How do you feel generally about being able to share in this way? Generally when we think of professions or people, we kind of put ourselves in a box, as you mentioned, but to be able to step outside of that and share in other ways must be truly rewarding for you.
I think that it is really important as a professional for us to reflect. And I think, and I'll share another story with you. As I said, I'm a teacher that, I like to plan, I like to organize, like to do these different projects. And I remember being at a school where I was given permission to do a particular project. And as I was doing this project, I was doing it with another teacher. There was this educational consultancy firm that pitched a similar program to the school. Now, remember I said to you, in the school, like in Barbados, you wouldn't get extra money. In the US, you would get per session or overtime. So the company that pitched this program, remember, similar, me and the other teacher were planning the lesson plans, looking for the material, organizing the lessons. You understand? This firm charged the school $15,000, and they paid it.
All right, so that was a good lesson to learn. All right, well, I want to thank you for sharing with us, though, and wish you the very best on this one. To teach or not to teach, I won't ask you what your answer is to that question. As I can tell that you love the
Me-
profession as well.
Yes, I do love the profession, but I know that in this life, I'm not only meant to be a teacher, so I definitely will be leveraging my skills outside of the classroom.
That's very important. So, a good word for us on this Monday. Think about all the ways that you can leverage your skills outside of what you currently do. Thank you so much, Chanel Williams, for sharing with us. And we most certainly look forward to reading all that you're presenting along with your co authors in this very interesting book.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you guys for having me, and have a wonderful day.
All right, bye. Sending you some sunshine. I know it's nice and cool outside, but we
Yes,
have
it is.
grand sunshine, so have a good one.
Yes, okay, bye-bye.
All right, it's time for another break here on Morning Barbados. Do stay with us.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. It's time for an update of the news. The body of a female has been retrieved from a well at Carmichael, St. George. Acting Assistant Superintendent of Police Victor Brewster says it could possibly be the missing woman Sonia Paris. However, he says they're unable to confirm the identity due to the body's state of decomposition. The senior officer says they received a report from a passerby in the area just after 5 yesterday evening, with officials eventually removing the body around 11:15 last night.
A male was exercising his dog and enjoying his track of the track. His dogs pointed him to take over the direction of the well. And as he went towards that direction, he emitted strongly from the well. At that point in time, he was unable to see at the bottom of the well, but he did contact the police, who came, and the body of the female was found in that well.
You know, we had a missing person here recently within this area. Can you say if that might be the person that might be that you found today?
There is that possibility, but because of the state of decomposition, we have to do further testing.
The acting superintendent has asked anyone with information about the discovery to contact the police. Meanwhile, Paris's children, relatives, and colleagues had gathered at the scene waiting to receive official confirmation on whether it was her body pulled from the well. After a private meeting with police, several family members wept openly. From early yesterday, several people and organizations joined a search party for the missing woman who lived at Edie Village, Christchurch, and who has not been seen since she left work on Wednesday night. Her car was found partially burnt at Jordan's in St. George. The Democratic Labour Party continues to face internal turmoil. The latest issue involves a no-confidence motion in political leader Ralph Thorne, brought by General Secretary Steve Blackett. Mr. Blackett spoke about the move after a meeting at the DLP headquarters yesterday evening.
And it says, whereas the Democratic Labour Party admitted Ralph Thorne to the membership of our party on the 20th of February 2024, becoming the political leader, and whereas since his admission to this party, the institution has experienced untold rancor, turmoil, contention, and confusion, and whereas he, in a public forum, in a meeting at St. Christopher Primary School on Sunday, the 14th of April 2024, publicly endorsed the actions of a member of the Democratic Labour Party who brought the party into public ridicule, disgrace, and opprobrium over a matter that was found to be invalid on its own merit and structure, and called for the removal of the entire Executive Council. And whereas this political organization was on an upward trajectory and beginning to appeal to the electorate after the 2018 defeat at the polls, be it resolved that his presence in this party can no longer be tolerated by the vast majority of members, and that a member of at the meeting of the members of the standing committee responsible for grievance be convened to discuss this motion of no confidence and rule on the content of the motion. I, the undersigned, no longer have any confidence in Ralph Thorne to be the political leader because he no longer serves the best interests of our great party, and call for the revocation of his membership and the immediate expulsion from the party.
Agriculture Minister Indar Weir has announced his ministry will be ramping up public education drives about microchipping animals to verify ownership. It comes days after a St. Joseph farmer reported his cow stolen and a police investigation was launched.
My chief veterinary officer reached out publicly to farmers, livestock farmers, to say that they can benefit from the microchips that we are actually putting in our animals now. So the fact that that news hadn't reached the person, or the fact that the person did not do any research, doesn't mean that we are not doing it. And whilst I will take full responsibility for not having enough PSAs at this point in time, which we have to do, and we're currently speaking to a PR firm to see how we can ramp that up.
While noting that his ministry is working with the FAO on projects to reduce predial larceny, the minister is confident partnerships with China will also help to eliminate the scourge. He has suggested crop and livestock thieves should feel the full weight of the law when caught.
I'm not going to try to determine how these matters are handled before the law courts, but I will be extremely disappointed if these people don't get the maximum sentencing that is available in the legislation. Because if we don't send a clear message to people who engage in predial larceny, a slap on the wrist is really not going to cut it, and we will continue to have the problem. My greatest disappointment is how people cover up these things.
When the Trinity term begins today, there will be no major challenges to the start of school. Word of this from both the Ministry of Education and the Barbados Union of Teachers. Chief Education Officer Acting Joy Adamson says it's all clear to go. And one of the schools which was having environmental issues, Lester Vaughan, is ready.
All public schools are ready to welcome back students for the Trinity term, which begins on April the 22nd for teachers and April the 23rd for students. The ministry is also particularly satisfied with the current state of conditions at the Lester Vaughan School, which reopened its doors on April the 8th to accommodate teachers and students who work diligently to complete school-based assessments, SBAs, and prepare for external examinations. A walkthrough was conducted on Thursday, the 18th of April, to ensure the integrity of recent remedial works conducted on that school plant. There have been no concerns reported to date, and all other operations appear to be running smoothly.
Now, General Secretary of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Herbert Gittins, says they're looking forward to the smooth reopening of schools, and their members have not reported any major challenges at the school's plants.
To date, there are no reports from our members of any major challenges at any of the school plants that will prevent them from reopening. The Lestavon School is expected to reopen as well after environmental challenges at the school last term led to its closure, so that scientific investigations could be carried out along with remedial work. The results from those investigations have indicated that the school compound is safe for occupants to return to classes. The union is aware that there is some reluctance among some of the members of staff, but we have advised our members there to return to the classroom.
For a quick peek at sports, Burger King Clapham Bulls are the 2024 Cooperators General Insurance BABA Premier League champions. They defeated CAM Smart Assurance City United Celtics in Game 4 of the final, 67-65 in overtime, to take the series 3-1. Akeem Marsh, who was named the MVP of the series, top scored with 28 points, while Celtics captain Teron King finished with 14 points.
BABA Finals Game 4. Burger King Bulls in the red versus CAM Smart Assurance City United Celtics. Bulls up 2-1 in the series. Quick start. Bounce pass from Andrew Eiffel to Kimar Ben, and he bites it in. Ben had 11 points on the night for the Bulls. Celtics trying to bring this series back to level terms. Joel Hunt, one of the main men all series, collecting on the wing. Jumper from outside the arc, swish. He had 13 points for the Celtics. Then Markelly Downey, he gets fancy. Euro step to get to the hole. He also had 13 as the Celtics led after the first quarter, 21-14. To the second quarter we go. Akeem Marsh, the big man for the Bulls. Fadeaway jumper. Double-double on the night. Game high 28 points and 10 rebounds. However, Celtics not playing. The captain, Teron King, hot from 3. Team high 14 points, and he had 4 from 9 from beyond the arc. Celtics, the better team beyond the arc, scoring 11 compared to Bulls 2. Theo Greenwich, the man to deliver the dagger this time. Celtics leading at the half, 40-28. In the second half, Marsh, the exclamation mark for the Bulls, went to work, getting the block, then directly after hitting the J from the free throw line. Marsh on a mission now, spinning and getting to the basket. 51-47 in favor of the Celtics at the end of the third, but Bulls looking to end this series. Fourth quarter action now, and King continued to cook beyond the arc. 3 more. But Marsh, he was ready for all the smoke collecting in the paint before spinning and getting it off the glass. Crunch time now, Bulls leading by 2 points. Celtics with the rebound, then pushing the pace. Bounce pass to Greenwich, layup to bring the scores level. It ended lot at 62 apiece at the end of the fourth. So we go to overtime, and Bulls were on point and kept their cool. Eiffel with the most important shot of the night, collecting, settling, then the mid-range shot to take the score to 67-65. That's how it would end. The Bulls are the 2024 Co-Operators General BABA champions. Akeem Klinkett, CBC Sports.
Well, you most certainly will get an update later today on Newsday. That's at 12 noon here on TV8. Or you can tune in to our radio network of stations for the CBC News World at 1. It's time for another break here on Morning Barbados, 24 minutes after 7 o'clock. When we come back, we are having a chat on family matters with Cornelius Bartlett. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to Morning Barbados. It's already 26 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good to have you in company. Whatever you are doing, I hope you have a great day today. So it's time for us to welcome back Cornelius Bartlett, who is a family advocate, founder and chairman of Family Fest Barbados. He joins us today as we continue talking family matters, a series that's been going on for quite some time now. Today, we want to look at narcissism and parental alienation. So, good morning.
Good morning.
With us again.
Great being here. Looking forward to today's segment.
All right, good stuff. Now, when we think about narcissism, we wouldn't necessarily put parental alienation together with it. Usually when people talk about narcissism, you find that they're talking about partners, romantic relationships, not necessarily how narcissists engage in a family setting.
Okay, first of all, I would like persons out there to stop referring to people as narcissists and allow the professionals to diagnose. I find that there is way too much name calling out there, and the word narcissist is being bandied around way too much. But having said that, narcissism is a reality, and this issue of narcissism has a lot to do with a personality disorder. The psychologists describe it as a personality disorder marked by a sense of entitlement, a sense of worship. And when they look at the roots of narcissism, it has its roots in childhood, where a child is in a traumatic childhood situation where they are forced to either choose or they are treated badly, to put it in layman terms. I'm trying not to use many technical terms, but I want the average person to understand. So bad treatment in childhood, or children who are raised to have a sense of achievement greater than what is dictated by their performances in areas, or children who are neglected. A lot of times, I don't want to say always, grow up to be narcissists, because this topic or this issue of narcissism is a very complex one. But the point of the matter is that it is classified as a mental health disorder, and the narcissist is one who has no empathy. So if you can make the connection between a traumatic childhood turning you into an adult that has no empathy, you don't like criticism, you can't take a narcissist is someone who suffers from a lot of insecurity and fear, and that insecurity and fear, once exposed or once, it's like a sore wound, the response is absolutely devastating to those who are on the other end of the disorder. So in other words, if you are married or involved or work with or has a boss, and because narcissists are very, a lot of them are extremely intelligent, because it is something that anybody could experience. You don't choose the family you're born into. And a lot of times you find the most gregarious and the most affable people out there can be a narcissist. So there's no look of a narcissist where you could say, well, a narcissist is someone who's always grumpy, who they're very aggressive, they're very obnoxious. No. Some of the most affable, gregarious persons and personality types out there could be a narcissist.
So what are some of the factors that we can look to identify narcissism in individuals?
Well, one of the things that you will notice is that a narcissist cannot take criticism. A narcissist likes worship. They call it narcissistic supply. And when that is challenged, and in the case of divorce, for example, and we're talking about parental alienation, we're going to come into that shortly, when that worship is challenged, because a narcissist cannot take criticism, like no human being likes criticism, but on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say the average human being gives a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 response, 5 being past the halfway mark. When you criticize someone who has this personality disorder, the response is going to be up in 10. It's extremely painful because bear in mind that the narcissist is suffering from an inherent underlying insecurity, fear of abandonment from childhood. And this is why when we look at these topics, I always say we look too much at symptoms. But if we understand that the narcissist, the adult narcissist that we're dealing with today, not only in Barbados, all over the world, were once babies. They were once little children. And it makes it imperative on us as parents, one, and us as a society, whether it's school, church, wherever, to do our best by our children. I cannot emphasize that enough. We need to do better by our children, because what we do, we commentate a lot on the results, but we don't do enough at the foundational level to prevent these results. Prevention is better than cure. And narcissism is one of those very serious and devastating personality disorders, which, when we get into parental alienation, you would understand why it is important to do prevention and save not only the targeted parent who is the victim of parental alienation, but the biggest victim are the children who are the pawns used in this thing called parental alienation.
All right, so let's make the connection, because you're linking parental alienation with narcissism.
Yeah.
So let's make the connection, because from where I sit, it sounds like you're saying usually where there's parental alienation, there's some measure of narcissism involved.
Yep, and I am not the one who did the research. You can go online and Google it. The first person who recognized it was a child psychologist by the name of Richard Gardner. He discovered it in 1985, or termed it, because we live in a world where there are lots of terms, but the point of the matter is that these things always existed, but at some point, someone take variables and put them together and give it a term. So the term that is being referred to in question here is this thing called parental alienation. And because psychologists are always working on research, thank God for them, they have come up, well, he came up in 1985 with the term parental alienation, but there was a little bit of disunity in the psychology world, and in terms of whether it can be put into the manual of psychology. But I'm happy to see that there's a lot of great work being done now, and there are lots of seminars you can see online that some notable and noted psychologists from notable universities all over the world are doing on this topic. And what they've realized is that there is a connection between narcissism and parental alienation. And some of the research shows that where you see parental alienation occurring, when you investigate it close up, you realize that the parent, most of the times, who is the alienator, has an issue with this personality disorder called narcissism.
What do you classify as parental alienation?
Okay, parental alienation, and I have to be very, very careful in terms of making sure that justice is done to this definition, because parental alienation has requirements in order to be classified as parental alienation. I'll tell you what it's not, and then I'll tell you what it is. It is not a situation where you have an abusive parent, where, for example, you have an abusive father, for example. I know I'm not picking on the men, but very often that's the case, where you have an abusive father, for example, and the mother has to run with the children, and the children has nothing to do with the father. That is not parental alienation. That's called estrangement. Parental alienation, to set the stage for what it is a situation, it's a family dynamic where you have a marriage or common law marriage or a legal marriage, where you have a family existing in a home together, and then divorce or breakup happens. And then the parent who gets custody, usually, it's the woman who gets the custody usually, that parent goes about a whole project, I would call it a project, of indoctrinating, brainwashing that child into wanting to have nothing to do with that parent, with whom, note this, with whom they previously had a great relationship. And it's very important to understand the conditions under which the term parental alienation must be used. It is not used in terms of abusive parenting by the other parent who is now targeted. It has to do with there was once a loving, encouraging, well-adjusted relationship between the child or children and the parent who is now being alienated. And you notice that when there's a departure now where you have a breakup, whether the husband filed on the wife or whether the wife felt forced to file, the point of the matter is that the alienator, who very often is a narcissist, feels injured. Bear in mind, I said earlier that the reason why we realize that they're usually very often narcissists is because the whole idea of now the separation of the family creates an extreme internal injury for the parent that is suffering with this disorder.
Okay, so the disorder comes on as a result of the break in the relationship, so there aren't narcissistic tendencies before that can be identified?
No, it is always there, but bear in mind that it is only the narcissism only comes out when the parent who is suffering from it is put in a compromising position. So it is almost like when people feel anger, if you don't do anything to trigger, sorry, I want to use the word trigger. If you do nothing to make a person who has anger tendencies to trigger them, then they're not going to get angry. So the narcissism would be there, but as long as you're serving the purpose of the narcissist, you don't get the onslaught of the wrath that comes about when you don't serve it anymore. So divorce is one of those big areas, and essentially the narcissist suffers from, as I said, insecurity and fear and jealousy and all those things. And what the narcissist parent, after a divorce, is able to do, they have an extreme hatred for the parent that is no longer married to them. And unfortunately, they transfer that hatred that they have for that parent to the child.
All right, so we're going to take a break here and come back. Today we're looking at narcissism and parental alienation with Cornelius Bartlett, family advocate, founder and chairman of Family Fest Barbados. More is coming up. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well,
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
22 minutes to go before 8 o'clock. We're still having a discussion on family matters today, taking a look at the link between narcissism and parental alienation with Cornelius Bartlett. So before we went to break, we kind of classified what the two were. But the big question now is, what do they look like? How do you identify that this specifically is what's happening and this is what is at play, meaning narcissism and parental alienation?
Okay. First of all, let me say it's very difficult to diagnose, and I hope that some mental health, well, not mental health professionals, because they should know, I'm hoping, but some counselors aren't, who might have been trained a long time ago, are not aware of it. There are a lot of social workers, for example, who are coming up to scratch on it. I thank God for people like Fabian Sargent, who is very much on top of his game in his area. But the problem is that when marriages break up and the whole issue of narcissism and parental alienation raises its head, you have people involved like law enforcement, you have the court system. And because law enforcement officers and judges and magistrates, they're not psychologists, a lot of times you have a narcissist that presents as a parent fighting for custody. And because a lot of times, if it's really is the man who gets custody, but if it's the man, he might be a handsome, very well-spoken, very prominent individual. If it's a female, she might be very beautiful, very articulate, well-educated. So I do sympathize with judiciary and law enforcement, but that's not to say that we shouldn't try to get all law enforcement and judiciary to be more knowledgeable on it. Now, what it looks like is that, as I said, the narcissist parental alienator would be a very affable type personality, very often, very intelligent, very articulate, but very manipulative. And bear in mind that what you see on the surface are symptoms, but underlying that is deep fear, insecurity, jealousy. Now, what those three variables do in terms of the narcissist alienator trying to actually carry out the onslaught of attack, because bear in mind that the response is really an attack on the innocent parent or the targeted parent. That person will get into a whole process of unreasonable criticism of the other parent. So, for example, things that were usually, this is what it looks like, things that were usually, like a child might misbehave or do something, you might put them on a ban. So you're now parenting now from two different households, because the problem with the narcissist parent who becomes an alienator chooses, because the marriage now ends, they choose that the relationship between the child and the other parent should also end. And I want to probably pause here and say that sometimes you have one child or more than one child. Usually when it is more than one child, you find that the older or oldest child is the one that the alienating parent chooses to use against the other parent. So you could find a household where parental alienation is occurring, and there are three children, for example, and the oldest of the three is the one who doesn't want to have anything to do with the father. The other two will have a normal relationship. And, you know, it's kind of strange, but people who are diagnosed, and when it is being diagnosed, well, I'm sorry, let me not go for when it is being diagnosed. Let me go back to the question that you asked, what it looks like. So what it looks like is that, so the alienating parent is actually doing these things to try to make the other parent look bad, changing the rules of parenting, lying, blatant lying. I mean, that's a big one. Taking facts that occurred and creating a different narrative about the facts. It's called gaslighting, where the reality of this child is challenged because a parent who they should be able to trust is taking information about the other parent, about events that happen, and changing it in such a way that the child no longer has a realistic and honest view or perspective of what happened. So you will find that children, for example, will go by a parent, the parent who is now on the outside, to spend the weekend or week. And when the child comes back, the child will have a great time. I mean, have a blast with the other parent, you know. And when the child goes back and says, I did not have a good time. My dad was toxic. You know, I don't want to go back there again. Because the child knows that the other parent gets angry if they speak well of being with the other parent. So the child, I mean, all of us as human beings, we understand survival. And children in their little world, they also understand survival. So the child learns the survival technique of pretending to not want to be with the other parent.
To your mind, how can you try to combat this? You said that it is a mental condition. Once you feel like it's been identified, what can you do to try to combat it from the perspective of the parent on the receiving end?
Right, the parent on the receiving end, let me first, before I tell you exactly what you can do, let me just say the parent on the receiving end very often is an innocent bystander. You know, an innocent duck sitting. Very often, and persons who are listening to me now, very often the parent finds out after the fact that they have been a victim of parental alienation because it's gradual, it's like cancer. You only realize it after it's too late. And the average parent is not a psychologist, so you have no way of knowing. But once you start to see the traits, to answer your question, once you recognize these traits in the other parent, what you want to do is you want to avoid confrontation. It is almost like walking on eggshells. You have to avoid because you cannot win. The narcissist is in it to win it, and it makes no sense meeting them head on. The biggest mistake is to look at the narcissist parent and say, you're a narcissist. They will tell you that you are the narcissist because they have a way of deflecting. So what you want to do is you want to find a way of being amicable. You have to sometimes swallow your pride and give up your rights just to get along with these narcissistic type alienators, because if you fight it head on, you will not win. They have the child in their custody most of the times. You really want to get him visitation. You're going to find yourself, this your head is going to be spinning when you look at the level of manipulation, the level of lies, the level of all sorts of things that will be coming at you. And even in the court system, you will find a person who is a narcissist alienator will go to court and shed tears. In fact, I heard there are two cases I want to share with you, two really sad cases that happened overseas, just to show people who are listening now how serious this thing is. In both cases, there were female children. In one case, a girl actually, who in this case, her father got custody of her. So her mother was the one that was alienated. And she actually participated in the murder of her mother. Now, when a child, it's unnatural for a child to feel a disconnect totally from a parent. Even parents that are abusive, the psychologist says, right, that even parents that are abusive, the children still want to have a connection with them. So when you see a child totally want to have nothing to do with their father or mother, I don't want to see them, I don't want them at my wedding, I don't want them at my graduation, usually the psychologist tells you that that is an indication of an outside influence. So in this one case, you have a girl, teenager, I think late teens. Her father had her so brainwashed about her mother being the worst person in the world. Her mother doesn't love her. That's the idea. They try to convince the child that the other parent doesn't love them, which is always a lie. They will hold letters that are being sent, postcards that are being sent, and will hide them. This girl participated in the murder of her mother. In another case, another girl decided to have no relationship with her father from 9 years old. 20 years later, at 29 years old, she challenged her brothers for having a good relationship with the father. Remember, he said if you can have three children in the house and one is alienating the father. This girl realized at 29 years old, 20 years after, that the mother was lying. How she found out? She challenged her brothers one day, how come you are talking and going out with dad and having a good time with him? Such a monster like dad. And the boys challenged her, you're crazy. Dad's not like that. So when she approached her mother for the first time, to challenge her for the first time in 20 years, the mother flat, obviously being a narcissist, she flat denied it. The girl said, and this is an educated 29-year-old now, you know, have her degrees and all that. She said, I felt so stupid. My head started to spin. I could not believe that I lived on a lie against my father for 20 years. So those are two examples of how deep and dark this whole issue of a narcissist parent who ends up perpetrating this thing called parental alienation. And it gets even deeper, it gets darker, but those are just two examples.
All right, well, this is a good conversation starter. This is mainly just, a part of where we go with it. And we're going to continue discussing next time you come in,
For sure.
as we get into what are some of the potential impacts of narcissism and parental alienation. And we will continue to make the links between the two.
Yes, for sure.
Always insightful to have you in. Thanks for sharing with us.
Always great being here, and thank you.
All right, absolutely. Cornelius Bartlett is founder and chairman of Family Fest Barbados. So, very interesting topic. You should definitely look into it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us morningbarbados@cbc.bb, and we'll share them next time Mr. Bartlett is in. It's 11 minutes now before 8 o'clock. Do stay with us. We have much more to come.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
10 minutes now before 8 o'clock. It's time for us to connect across the miles and welcome Vladimir Lucien, who is a St. Lucian poet, actor, educator, screenwriter, and literary and cultural art critic. He's joining us this morning to talk all about his virtual free writing workshop that's coming up in May. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. Talk to us a little bit about your background, first of all, before we get into the actual workshop.
Okay, I'm from St. Lucia, neighbor to Barbados. I also work, I guess, as an academic as well. I'm currently a PhD candidate at New York University, but I've also been educated at the University of the West Indies, where I did my undergrad and another grad degree. Yeah, I'm the writer of Sounding Ground. I've been a poet, writing poetry from a young age. My dad wrote as well, my brothers as well. So I come kind of from a writing family. So yeah, I've been writing and doing work in poetry and increasingly across genres. Professionally, if you want to use that word, from about 2013, 2014, or maybe a little bit before. But my book came out in 2014, and yeah. So is that enough?
And the book that we just saw, on screen, you actually won a pretty prestigious prize for that as one of the youngest people to have won it. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, it was really meaningful for me. The book was published in 2014, and in 2015 it won the OCM Booker's Prize for Caribbean Literature, which is I think the biggest English language literary prize in the Caribbean. It was very meaningful for me as well because my countryman Derek Walcott was the first winner of that prize. St. Lucia has also done very well with that prize generally, especially when it comes to poetry. And winning it, Derek Walcott, I think, was being honored that year, and he was present. He was actually, I think, in the front row when I was presented with the prize. So I guess it was extra meaningful in that way. And I mean, I should mention, since this is Barbados, that another very, very big influence on my work is Kamal Brathwaite, who is a Barbadian. A huge influence on my work, on my scholarship, and a lot of what I do. And had been a supporter of my work. I think he eventually gave me a blurb for that book after it was published, recommending it. So yeah, that probably was even more meaningful for me.
Now, we know that your work has been translated into many different languages. What difference has this made in the delivery of your creative side to the world?
Well, it's been good for me because I mean, I learned I guess a little bit belatedly that I'm also very much into languages. So I've been learning languages a lot myself, and now perhaps have a better appreciation for what is done through translation, because my stuff was translated probably before I got into language learning. But yeah, it's had a really great effect in that I've met people from places that and languages I don't speak, who probably doing my work or have done it in schools or as a course, or just the people I'm able to interact with. In fact, a lot of the interactions I've had overseas have been in countries where there was a translation element necessary. So I did work in Amsterdam, so a lot of my work was early on published in Dutch. I've done a work with some groups in Germany as well. Although I've done some of that in English, there's been this translation element that's been a part of that. It's been published in Mandarin. I still can't read the Mandarin that it was published in, but I trust the translator. And in Italian, I haven't really followed up on what's happening with my work in regards to that, but it was published in that language as well. And I think also on a smaller scale in French, which I could now understand, and hopefully I could go back to read these translations and see what they were like. But it really shows you, there's really no limits, because at the time I was really just, I spoke English, I spoke Creole, and that was pretty much it. And already these interactions were happening. We're no longer in a world where language is really a barrier to these kind of global interactions. I don't think so. Certainly not in creative writing.
Talk to us about how you came to the place now to present these free writing workshops.
Okay, the workshop is actually hosted and organized by Create Caribbean. I'm not an official part of this group. I know the founder and director. We met a long time ago in Guadeloupe at a literary conference, and I guess we were just both at the time two young people very interested in the Caribbean, seeing the potential there blossom. And I think I don't know if she had founded it already, but she would go on to found Create Caribbean. And I mean, I've always admired the work she's done. Her name is Dr. Shyla Esprit. She's from Dominica. So I've worked with her before. I've been to the Dominica Literary Festival, which she was part on the organizing committee or perhaps the director at some point. And we've just had a relationship. I've had a very good relationship with Dominica. I've given lectures there and readings, and I guess that relationship just kind of continued to exist. And last year I gave a workshop with Create Caribbean, the same version of what we're doing this year, and it was very well received. There were a lot of people who were trying to get in and didn't get in eventually because the spaces were filled. And so very early on, we spoke about possibly doing it again. And I do think it's part of something bigger that they've been doing with other genres and so on, where they're really make a lot available, to be honest, to Caribbean people for free. Even things like coding, that digital world stuff, as well as a lot of creative writing and creative arts opportunities are for free. So I think it's worth looking for anybody who's interested, apart from my workshop, to look at what they're offering, look at what they're doing. The name is Create Caribbean, and take advantage of the opportunities because they're free. So yeah.
With your workshop specifically, what are some of the areas that you look forward to covering?
My approach to workshops, I have a very experimental approach to them. I'm not, I myself, I'm not the product of workshops per se. I didn't do creative writing workshops that became a big thing, probably maybe after I had already started writing in my own way. So I tend to use a lot of different things, especially tools I see as coming from the African diaspora as well. So I mean, my studies as an academic include a lot of work in traditional poetry traditions of Africa, for example. So there are elements of that I bring to the table, and I always try to link what I'm doing with life, yes, but I think the issue of consciousness, not consciousness of one thing or another, but consciousness, how poetry itself operates as a tool for one becoming more conscious of who they are, their inner powers, and the ability to apply that in poetry and beyond it. I think it's always important that we recognize that what we're doing is always a metaphor for something else. You might do a job as a lawyer, but how could you take the principles of law and see how that applies in life? Because ultimately, the genres are created by us. Life is a whole thing. It doesn't have genres. So it means that if there's a genre, it means that the genre is showing you a particular aspect of life. And I think it would be very good for us that we don't only create great artists, but they're also recognizing that that thing they've mastered through art, through genre, they could easily write poems with it. They could use it as tools to write great poems and to develop, but they could also utilize it to make a poem of their life, to make a great story of their life, etc., etc. So, I mean, these are the kind of issues that interest me. Personally, they interest me, you know, in terms of how I teach myself, and they play a big role in how I teach.
And how you
So
will be,
that, and I would say that,
and
pardon?
how you'll be imparting the knowledge. Tell us quickly how we can register. Where do we need to go to participate in the workshop?
Okay, so I don't do a lot of the admin work, but their Facebook page is very active, Create Caribbean. So you could go to their Facebook page where they have where they would be advertising this. That would probably be one of the best places to go.
All
You
right,
could
I
also
see a
check
QR
out their
code there,
website.
so most likely once you
Right.
scan the QR code, you should be able to navigate there. I want to thank you so much for
Exactly.
coming in and sharing with us this morning, talking a little bit about your
Right.
work. We certainly are intrigued, and we'll be looking forward to hearing lots more about you and your work, considering that your MPhil deals specifically with some regional stuff. Pretty interesting. So maybe we can have you back to look at that. Vessels of God, Objects of Power. Very interesting. So we'll look at that next time you come and visit us on Morning Barbados. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
All right, wonderful stuff. How about that? A free writing workshop. So something for you to look forward to, boosting yourself or someone else you might know who's interested in writing. Well, that's it for today's show. Coming up tomorrow, Conversations on CARICOM. We're going to take a look back at a presentation done by the Ambassador Commichong at the UN over the last week. And we're also going to continue with the students of the Barbados Community College with the Ponder Road Portfolio Series. Plus, we're talking about the Liberia-Barbados experience and the Sankofa pilgrimage. That and much more will come up tomorrow on Morning Barbados. See you then. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.